Random House Audio presents The Lincoln Myth by Steve Barry, read for you by Scott Brick. Prologue. Washington, D.C., September 10th, 1861. Abraham Lincoln kept his temper under control, but the woman standing across from him was taxing his patience. The general did only what all decent people believed to be right, she said. Jessie Benton Fremont was the wife of General John Fremont, United States Army, the man in charge of all Union military affairs west of the Mississippi River. A Mexican war hero and renowned explorer, Fremont had received his latest command appointment in May. Then, a month ago, with the Civil War raging in the South, he unilaterally issued a proclamation emancipating all slaves of Missouri rebels who'd taken up arms against the United States. The clock on the mantel told him it was nearing midnight. A note had arrived at the presidential mansion 3 hours ago, its message concise. Mrs. Fremont brings to the president from General Fremont a letter and some verbal communications, which she would be glad to deliver with as little delay as possible. If it suits the president's convenience, will he name a time to receive them this evening or at some early hour tomorrow? His response told her to come immediately. They stood in the red parlor on the first floor, a chandelier burning brightly. He knew of this imposing woman. The daughter of a former U.S. Senator, highly educated, raised in Washington, D.C., schooled in politics. She'd defied her parents and married Fremont at the age of 17, eventually birthing 5 children. She'd supported her husband during his explorations of the West, and was there when he served as military governor of California and as one of that state's initial U.S. senators. She'd campaigned with him when he became, in 1856, the first presidential nominee of the new Republican Party. And though he lost to James Buchanan, if Pennsylvania had voted differently, he would have been elected. So, for Lincoln, as the first Republican Party president actually elected, appointing John Fremont commander of the West had been an easy choice. Now, he regretted it. He wondered if life could be any worse. The immense pride he'd felt in March, taking the oath as the 16th president, had been replaced with the agony of the Civil War. 11 states had seceded from the Union and formed their own confederacy. They'd attacked Fort Sumter, forcing him to blockade all southern ports and suspend the writ of habeas corpus. The Union Army had been dispatched, but suffered a humiliating defeat at Bull Run, that crushing blow convincing him this conflict would be long and bloody. Now Fremont and his grand emancipation. From Lincoln's standpoint, slavery simply was not an issue. He'd already thrown the secessionists an offer, telling them that they could keep their slaves. They could even raise a new flag, send representatives to Montgomery, and have their confederacy, provided they allowed the collection of northern tariffs in their ports. If the South became free of tariffs, northern industrial interests would be crippled. The national government would be rendered broke. Tariffs were the country's main source of revenue. Without them, the North would flounder. But the South had rejected his overtures, firing on Fort Sumter. Mrs. Fremont said, "Mr. President, I have traveled for 3 days in an overcrowded train. It was not a journey I enjoyed, but I came because the General wants you to understand that the only considerations relevant are those of the utmost importance to this nation. Rebels have taken arms against us. They must be stopped and slavery ended. I have written to the General, and he knows what I want done," he made clear. He feels he is at the great disadvantage of being opposed by people in whom you have every confidence. He thinks that your advisers have a better hold on your ear. And that accounts for his disobeying my orders. Madam, his Emancipation Proclamation does not come within the range of military law or necessity. He has made a political decision, one that is not his to make. The general should never have dragged the Negro into this war. This is a conflict for a great national object, and the Negro has nothing to do with it. My task is to save the Union. If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it. If I could save it by freeing all slaves, I would do it. If I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I would also do that. What I do about slavery and the colored race, I do because I believe it helps to save the Union. I shall do less whenever I shall believe what I am doing hurts the cause, and I shall do more whenever I shall believe doing more will help the cause. So take this message back to the general. He was sent west to move the army to Memphis and keep advancing eastward. Those are still his orders. He shall either obey them or be removed from his post. I must warn you, sir, that it could be hard if you continue to oppose the general. He could set up for himself. The federal treasury was empty, the War Department a mess. No Union army anywhere was prepared to advance. And now this woman and her insolent husband were threatening revolt. He should have them both arrested. Unfortunately, however, Fremont's unilateral emancipation had become popular with abolitionists and liberal Republicans who wanted slavery ended now. He said, "This meeting is over." She threw him a glare, but he ignored her sneer and stepped across the room, opening the door for her to leave. Hay, his personal secretary, was on duty outside, as was one of the stewards. Mrs. Fremont passed Hay without saying a word, and the steward led her away. He signaled for Hay to join him in the parlor. "That is an impertinent soul," he said. "Her husband is no better. His command is a failure. She actually threatened that he might set up his own government." Lincoln made a decision. "The general will be removed, but not until a suitable replacement is found. Locate one. Quietly, of course." Hay nodded. "I understand." He noticed a large envelope that his trusted aide held and motioned toward it. "What is that?" "It arrived late today from Pennsylvania, Wheatland." He knew the location. The family home of his predecessor, James Buchanan, a man who many said had paved the way for South Carolina to secede, blaming that act on the intemperate interference of the Northern people with the question of slavery. "What does the former president want?" I did not open it. Hay handed him the envelope. Scrawled across the front were the words, "For the eyes of Mr. Lincoln only." I respected his wishes. He was tired, and Mrs. Fremont had sapped what little strength remained from a long day. "You may go," he said to Hay. "I'll study this, then be off to bed myself." His secretary left, and he sat alone inside the parlor. He broke the wax seal on the envelope and slid out 2 pages. One, a parchment, brown with age, water-stained, dry and brittle. The second, a soft vellum, newer, the black ink fresh, in a firm masculine hand. He read the vellum first. "It is a sorry place, the country which I left you, and for that I apologize. On my return to the White House, the day of my inauguration, a sealed package awaited me, similar in shape and size to this one. Inside was a note from my predecessor, Mr. Pierce.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?